Alright guys, I want to talk about a guy who really does almost every single thing in the game that I want him to do, and he's one of, I think, the most underrated heroes in the game for gaining MMR in pubs. And that hero is Shadow Shaman. Let's talk about some of the things he does. He wins your safe lane carry the lane. His right click damage is insane. Good rotations with Shadow Shaman are pretty much guaranteed kills. He's got great farming mechanics in Ether Shock. Hex isn't purgeable anymore. Shackle holds people for like 3.5 seconds. Mass Serpent wards can be ridiculously good at pushing towers, controlling team fights, positioning team fights, and solo killing people. And he's also a really good initiator, especially when you get the Blink Dagger. When you get that Blink Dagger on Shadow Shaman, woo! Watch out, anti-mage. Watch out, every other safe lane carry. This guy, he's going to blink, hex, shackle, hold you down. But before we talk about how he does all these things, let's talk about his abilities. Okay. First and foremost, he's got Ether Shock, which creates a cone of ethereal energy that strikes multiple units, dealing 140, 200, 260, or 320 damage depending on level, and also striking 1, 3, 5, 7 targets depending on level. It's got a 0.3 second cast time as well. Then we've got our second ability, Hex. Hex is a 1.252, 2.75, or 3.5 second duration stun with a 0 second cast point. And it is not dispellable. We've got Shackles, which is a channeling stun / bind. It magically binds an enemy unit so they can't move or attack while dealing damage over time to that unit. And the amount of damage that Shackles deals is not insignificant. People do not realize that it does 120 at level 1 while holding them in place for 2.75 seconds. Level 1. Level 2 is 200 damage for 3.5 seconds, 280 damage for 4.25 seconds, and level 4 is 360 damage for 5 seconds. You're holding a hero for 5 seconds, dealing 360 damage to them, a cast point of 0.3 seconds. Mass Serpent Ward, his last spell, his final ability. He summons 10 Serpent Wards that attack enemy units and structures. The wards are immune to magic. It takes 2 hits to destroy a single ward. And they're also upgradable by the Agnum Scepter. Each ward does 40, 70, or 100 attack damage based on level, duration of 45 seconds, and a cast point of 0.3. So let's talk about how these abilities enable him to do all those things that I said he can do earlier. So he can win your safe lane carry the lane. How does he win your safe lane carry the lane? He does so with Shackles. You wait out of vision of the offlane hero, or the enemy offlane hero. Wait for them to pass your forest, whichever side of the map you're on, Dire or Radiant. Wait for them to pass your trees, and you just come out from behind and give them a good old shackle. Good old shackle does... Before you give them a good old shackle, you give them a right click or two. If you can give them a right click or two, Shadow Shaman has one of the highest base damages of any hero, and you get 2 of those right clicks off on him, then you shackle and coordinate with your enemy or with your safe lane carry. You guys are more than likely killing the offlaner almost every time. If you have a tri-lane, it's almost guaranteed. It's almost guaranteed. 2.75 seconds at level 1 is a ridiculous length to channel a bind. It's called a bind. It's not a stun, it's not a root, it's a bind. Next, all he has to do is standard support stuff. Well, not necessarily, because Shadow Shaman can also go gank mid. With Shackles, after he gets a kill on the offlane hero, he could go directly, he could go get that 2-minute bounty ruin, go straight mid, and go kill the mid player on the enemy team. Shackle, kill. Easy peasy. But what we want to do is assume that we're playing standard. We're going to stay in our safe lane, support our Juggernaut. That's our hero, as standard as it gets. So Shadow Shaman Juggernaut, that's what we've got. After you get the enemy offlane hero out of the lane or killed or forced to go back to heal, you want to start pulling. So what you're going to do is pull your lane, and then you're going to double pull. You pull the small camp, and then you pull the large camp afterwards. You do not leave that large camp unpulled. If you leave that large camp unpulled, your creeps will go back into lane. It'll cause your wave to have more creeps than the enemy wave. That wave will then push into the offlane tower, and your offlane and the enemy offlane hero will now have more farm than he would have before, because he doesn't have to do anything. He can just wait for your creeps to push into his lane, and he's guaranteed the experience from those creeps. So make sure you do the double pull. Alright, your safe lane carry is happy because A, he's ahead of the enemy offlaner. He can solo the lane now. He might have himself a kill or two, and he's basically got free farm. So what do we do now? It's time to rotate and get kills with Shadow Shaman. buy a smoke, go rotate, go kill mid, go kill offlane. That's what you do. That's how you win games. 10-minute mark comes around. Time to buy yourself Tome of Knowledge. Tome of Knowledge is essential on Shadow Shaman if you're not level 6. Get to level 6 once you get those Serpent wards. Once you get them, start pushing or looking for a kill or looking for a team fight. When you're pushing towers with Serpent wards, you want to put them close to the enemy tower so that enemies TPing in have to strategically think about positioning their teleportation scroll around the Serpent ward so they don't TP directly into a bunch of wards hitting them or into a position where they can get hexed then shackled. So your positioning of your Serpent wards against towers is very important. So let's start talking about how to use these Serpent wards to get these solo kills I was talking about earlier, because you can almost kill anybody with Shadow Shaman if you know how to do it. If you have a blink dagger, it's ridiculously easy, but let's talk about doing it without a blink. You're going to wait in some trees, you're going to wait in a position for the enemy carry, or you're going to smoke. You're going to wait in a position for the enemy, hopefully a carry or an important hero like their mid or their offlaner, to walk by you. You hop out of the trees or whatever spot you're hiding in, and you use your hex. You hex them, and then you instantly put down your wards. You try to put your wards on top of them. If you place your wards at the bottom of their feet or at the on the hexed unit's location, it will trap that unit inside the wards. If this happens, sometimes you can just kill them without doing anything else if they're low level. But if you don't get them trapped, you put down your wards, and then you shackle. Press your hotkey to select all units other than your hero, and that will select all your wards, and right click on the enemy hero. Now all of your wards, even if there's a creep wave, are attacking the enemy hero. You've got him hexed, so you hexed him first, dropped your wards, hopefully your wards hit him once, hopefully you hit him once. Now you've got him shackled. He's shackled for, if you're level 4, if you have shackle at level 4, 3.5 seconds. You've got ultimate wards hitting him, you've got hex, and then before your shackles wear off, the split second before it wears off, you cast your Ether Shock. With all that combined damage, you've probably killed any hero in this game. So we've talked about Shadow Shaman's strengths. We've talked about how he can win your safe lane carry the lane. We've talked about how his rotations can win your other lanes. We've talked about how his initiations and his crowd control is ridiculously good in team fights, how he can solo kill heroes, how he can push towers, how valuable his wards are. But at the same time, while he's doing all of this, he has to also focus on being a good support. He needs to provide his team with good vision. He needs to make good rotations. And the way you do this with Shadow Shaman is by playing around your Serpent ward timing. When your Serpent wards are up, that's when you're looking to fight and push. But when they're down, you're going to want to pull, you're going to want to ward, you're going to want to react, you're going to want to make sure you get yourself to full health and mana, and time your next attack or your next play based on when your Serpent wards come off of cooldown. Now here's another thing that you can do with Shadow Shaman that's not really applicable in pro games, because in pro games you're guaranteed to be communicating with the team, but in a pub, what do you do when your safe lane carry won't help you, or somebody's muted, or someone's tilted, or someone's flaming, or someone's feeding? What are you going to do? Shadow Shaman is one of the only heroes in the game that can push waves, take towers, fight, escape, get home, and rotate around the map, making plays on his own. If he dies, guess what? No one gives a fuck, because he's a Shadow Shaman. If he doesn't die, then he's likely taking a tower or killing something. Shadow Shaman can do so much on his own that even if your teammates are absolute pieces of crap, you can win the game for them. The reasons we listed so far are why Shadow Shaman is awesome. Let's see how we're going to build him in terms of items. First and foremost, Shadow Shaman is mana dependent. Make sure that you're getting yourself lots of clarities throughout the game and that you have arcane boots. If you're a position 5 Shadow Shaman, you're going to need to worry a lot about warding, but if you're position 4 or you have good farm or a lot of kills, get your Blink Dagger early. When you get your Blink Dagger, start hopping around the map and getting kills. Blink Dagger doesn't necessarily have to be your next item. It can also be a Force Staff. Force Staff is very valuable because it can also save your teammates, and it can help you initiate on heroes the same way a Blink Dagger can. The only problem is that you can't do the instant blink over trees or something like that. Now, a magic wand or a magic stick is almost necessary on Shadow Shaman because you usually need that little ounce of mana or health to get out of a sticky situation after Ether Shock. When you move forward from there, you're going to look at the type of damage that the team is dealing to you. If the team does a lot of magical damage, you're going to want to get a Glimmer Cape. If not, you're going to want to get yourself either an Aether Lens or go straight to an Agnum Scepter. Then hopefully late game you can get yourself a Refresher Orb. If you get to the point where you have yourself a Refresher Orb, an Agnum Scepter, a Blink Dagger, arcane boots and whatever else you want, you've probably won the game. Now, I want to throw out one alternate build that I really like, and it's not that popular, but I think it's really good, and that's going for a Rod of Atos and drums, because you get to do this thing called the 3 bracer build. You get yourself 3 bracers, and you're actually a crazy tanky Shadow Shaman that nobody expects. Each bracer gives you 7 strength, 3 agility, 3 intelligence. Each point in intelligence increases your damage. Each point in strength increases the amount of health that you have. When you get the drums, you increase your whole team's movement speed, and when you get the Rod of Atos, you can root anybody for 2 seconds from a long distance, then walk up and hex, walk up shackle, make your plays that way. And it also makes you a really tanky support to fight against. So we've covered everything except for the talent tree. Let's talk about Shadow Shaman's talents. Level 10, 200 health versus 20 XP gain. Level 15, we've got to decide between -4 second hex cooldown, which currently has a 30% pick rate, versus 125 cast range bonus. The cast range bonus is picked the most because it helps you get your initiations off. It helps you get your hexes off, your shackles, all of your disabling spells. You take the -4 second hex cooldown, then you probably need to get yourself an Aether Lens, but it is useful when you need to disable multiple heroes frequently through fights. Think about fighting against an Ursa, or anybody who does ridiculous amounts of quick burst damage, that if you can hex them more frequently, you're more likely to win team fights. That's when you take the hex. Level 20, we've got +1 Serpent Ward's max HP versus +3 second shackle duration. The 3 second shackle duration is nice because obviously you keep them controlled for longer. The only problem is that it can be purged off by strong dispels, and that if you get stunned or killed, it stops. So that's a tough one to get off properly in the game, but it is very, very strong. Now the +1 to Serpent Ward's max HP, that's really nice because now it takes 3 shots to kill each of your Serpent Wards, and if you're going for an Agnum Scepter, it's going to make your Serpent Wards really, really strong. Level 25, you go versus 60 wards attack damage or +400 ether shock damage. This one, you almost always go with the +60 wards attack damage because if you're late game here, the additional 400 magical damage is going to do almost nothing compared to your wards being placed in a good position in a team fight, doing 60 damage each with each attack. And you're probably building up to an Agnum Scepter and a Refresher, and you got your +1 wards max HP. Now you got +60 wards attack damage. Now you're just fucking wrecking the whole goddamn game. That's what you're doing. Alright everybody, that's it. Shadow Shaman guide complete. If you liked, if you want to see more, subscribe. If you have suggestions, comment, or just say something nice. And the video footage in the background, that's just me playing Shadow Shaman. Peace out, guys. Don't forget to check out my stream at twitch.tv/Navetz. That's it. See ya.